Hello, this is Thogdad here, and sorry I've not uploaded in a while because I've been reading this amazing book about Eric Cantona. Now, the 17th of June 2020, the Premier League is back. And if the Premier League is back, that means fantasy football is back. And I'm going to tell you a secret. I absolutely hate fantasy football. And I've got to tell you a second secret. I absolutely love fantasy football. Now, the thing is, this game is an absolute obsession to me. It's an addiction. I mean, when I do well at fantasy football, I'm absolutely buzzing and I'm teasing my mates who've not done well. And when I've done badly, I'm miserable. I'm like a bear with a sore head. I'm down the pub and I'm having a right whinge. Now, fantasy football, I actually gave up one year. But just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Now, this is a game that absolutely breeds hatred. I mean, let's say you've got Trent in your team and you've got Mo Salah. You're watching the game, aren't you, with your pint, and you're looking at the screen and saying, Trent, pass to Mo. Don't pass to Mane. Don't pass to Firmino. You know, I haven't got those players. It's obsessive in that way. It's not really good to play fantasy football, but we all do it. So how am I doing this season? Well, this is my status. I'm sort of top 600,000 almost out of 7.5 million. Now, the mathematicians will tell you I'm top 8%, and it's like, that's pretty good, Thogdad. But in reality, it's not. I mean, I've got really high standards. I mean, 20 years ago, I played Telegraph Fantasy Football Online, which was like the first fantasy football game. And out of sort of 30,000 people, I think I was top 100 in the world. So I used to be good at this game. People used to point at me and say, that's Thogdad, he's good at fantasy football. These days, it's like, meh, I'm all right. Now, I'm actually in 3 different leagues this season, and one of them is called the Thogdad Fantasy Premier League. Now, it should be called the Thogdad Premier League, because Thogden, he never changes his team. So I tell you what, next year we're doing the Thogdad League, and you're all welcome to join. Now, a massive shout out to Charlie King, me, my Delphin I, great name. He's got 1,779 points. Now, I've got 1,572 points, so I'm like 200 points behind. So these lads are absolute legends. And I'm sort of 96th, I think, in this league, out of a few thousands. That's not a bad place. The second league I'm in is called the £50 League. Now, this is like the Battle of Culloden. It's Scot against Englishmen. I tell you what, it kicks off every week in this league. Now, here is the league on the screen. Kenny is way ahead in front. I'm not going to comment on Neil in 9th place because he's the guy who introduced me to the Diggers pub in Edinburgh, and he's the lad who sorts me out with Tynecastle tickets when I want to go and see the Hearts. But you know what? We've actually got a bit of a celebrity in this league, James Rose, the actor from Aberdeen. Now, here's a picture of James on the screen, and he's not only handsome and talented and funny and a good lad, but he's bloody good at fantasy football as well, and I'm not jealous one bit, James. Now, James actually played Simon the Ogre in the famous Thompson ads. So Thogdad is getting beaten at fantasy football by a bloody ogre from the telly. And the third league I'm in is called In It For The Money, and here it is on the screen. And we've all thrown in 20 quid each, and the winner gets most of that pot. And I tell you what, with this pandemic, we're all skint, aren't we? And I really need to win this league. Now I'm going to show you my team before any changes. I've spent a bit of money on the midfield. I mean, Mo Salah is my marquee player. Bruno's done well for me, and so has Martial. Grealish, we'll talk about him later. And up front at the moment, I've got not the most expensive strikers, but in Jamie Vardy, you always get goals. That is my team as it stands. Now, that is before any transfers. Now, I posted this team on Twitter yesterday and I got a few cheeky comments. No City players, Thogdad. They're playing 2 games in the first game week. Aguero, Mahrez and Bruyne all in my team. Liam says you might want to put some Arsenal, Man City, Sheffield United and Villa players as they have double game weeks. Now, that is a key point because game week 30 is a double game week. So 4 teams will be playing twice. So what we've got now is we've got 9 game weeks left. And over the next few days, you've got unlimited free transfers. Now, this rarely happens. This is because of the pandemic. So use these transfers well. So what have people been doing in the last few days? Well, here are the main transfers in. and you'll see that Grealish, Aguero, Rashford, De Bruyne and Henderson are the guys that people are looking at. And in terms of transfers out, people are selling Ings, Salah, Calvert-Lewin, Jimenez, Vardy. Now it's important to think not only of that double game week, but of the remaining fixtures this season. Starting with Arsenal. Now Arsenal have had a mediocre season, too many draws. They've got the double game week coming up, but their remaining games include Man City, Wolves, Leicester, Spurs and Liverpool. So be careful if you're bringing in Arsenal players. Chelsea, well, of course they've got something to play for. They're hoping to get that final Champions League spot. Now, their remaining fixtures include Man City, Liverpool and Wolves. Now, I would look closely at Chelsea players, particularly in that sort of attacking midfield and forward area. Leicester, never bet against Jamie Vardy and Leicester. Now, I think Leicester will secure that third place spot, and I think they'll score a few goals. Liverpool, we all know they're going to win the title, and the worry here is that once they've won it, they might start to rotate and give game time to some of the younger players, which is great for those players, but it's not great for fantasy Premier League managers. So be a little bit careful with your Liverpool players. Now might be the time to sell the likes of Alexander-Arnold and Mo Salah, but you didn't hear it from me. Now Man City, yes, they've got the double game week coming up, but they've also got to play Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool over the next 3 weeks. And the thing about City is their rotation policy, which is very frustrating for us fantasy Premier League managers. So once again, be careful. Manchester United, I look at their remaining fixtures and I think winnable. And I recommend that you all think carefully about bringing in a couple of United players into your squads. Spurs, they've got something to play for. They really want that European spot, and they've got Harry Kane back. So think carefully about bringing in the likes of Son or Kane. And Wolves have also got a reasonable run into the season, and again, they've got something to play for. Now I want to look closer at the 4 teams who've got double game weeks in week 30, starting with Arsenal. Now I've got 2 recommendations for the Arsenal team, and one of them is very obvious, and that is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now he would cost you 11.1 million, and this season he's got 152 points. Now that includes 17 goals and 3 assists. So this is a man who's scoring at about 6 points per game. We know he's a bagsman. Last season he got 205 points and the joint golden boot. Secondly, Bernd Leno. 5 million quid, the goalkeeper. He's got 108 points and he's the second best point scorer for Arsenal this season. Now he'll get you about 4 points per game. He's got 7 clean sheets this season, but 3 of them have come in the last 4 games. Now be careful, because the next game is against Man City, and most probably that won't be a clean sheet. Now Aston Villa, and almost everyone is going to bring in Jack Grealish, and for good reason. So I'd like to talk about another player, John McGinn. Now John McGinn would cost you 5.4 million quid. He got 61 points in about 17 games, including 3 goals and 2 assists, and then he got injured. Now the question is, will he play? Because he had a wonderful start to the season and he was bagging about 5 points every game. Manchester City now, I've already said that rotation is a thing with Man City, so you've got to be really careful. But one name stands out, that is Kevin De Bruyne. Now this man is probably my favourite player in the Premier League. He costs you 10.6 million quid and he's got 178 points in 25 games. That's 7 points per game approximately. And that includes 8 goals and 18 assists. Now the thing about City, as I've already said, rotation. I mean, I love Sergio Aguero, but will he start or will Jesus start? Thing about Kevin De Bruyne, I can see him getting a lot of game time. So if you haven't got him in the team, beware. And finally, Sheffield United. Now defensively, Sheffield United have been wonderful this season. So I think everyone needs a defender, particularly with the double game week coming up. And I've gone for John Lundstrom. Now he'd cost you 4.9 million quid and he's bagged 128 points from 23 games, which is about 5 points per game. Now that includes 4 goals, 4 assists and 9 clean sheets, because this is a man classed as a defender that plays in the midfield, and every FPL manager knows this man. Now the question mark is, will he start? So that is just a few of my thoughts. Like I said, I love and hate this game. And if you like this video, you know what, I might make it a regular thing because I just love to rant about Fantasy Premier League. One thing I hope you've all done, Theo, my son, has been nominated in the Football Content Awards. So if you want to go onto their website and vote for him, that would be brilliant. This is Thogdad saying, see ya.